My name's Larry Strzechowski. I'm Clara's dad. And I'm here today to tell you guys about my career and what I do for a living. And that is, I'm a Chicago police officer. I'm actually a sergeant, so I'm a supervisor. And I've been doing that for about, I've been a police officer for just over 22 years. And 13 years I've been a supervisor. So I've been, basically what a supervisor does is, I have police officers, which in Chicago they call them blue shirts. They wear blue uniforms, and I'm a white shirt because I'm a sergeant. And I supervise them, and I help them out when they have questions. They call me, and I answer their questions, and we handle jobs and everything like that. I got some props here that I brought in. This is some of the stuff I wear and I work with. So I'm just going to pass them around, and you guys can take a look. This is obviously my vest, which we wear over our uniform. And then I got here, this is my my duty belt. There's no gun or anything in there, so that's all safe. I got my little hat that I occasionally wear. And then this, don't lose this. This is my real star. And then on the back, I got my ID card that shows who I am. So, and then here, these are always fun. These are handcuffs. So don't swing them around and don't hit nobody because they're really, really heavy. They're real handcuffs. They're not the plastic ones. Yeah, that's another pair. Yeah. So, like I said, just be very, very careful with the handcuffs. Okay.
You haven't seen any rest.
All right, keep it down. Hey, keep it down. Everybody will get a chance to look at it, and then if you don't get a chance to look afterwards, when I'm all done, you guys can come up and take a look at it. Okay. So let's see. Your teacher gave me some little cliff notes to follow, so I'm going to try to follow those the best I can. Like I said, I'm a Chicago police officer. I've been doing it for 22 years. I've worked in all different parts of the city. So if anybody knows anything about the city of Chicago, there's pretty much a north side, a west side, and a south side. We don't really have an east side because that's the lake. So I've worked in all those different districts all over. And each place that I've worked, I've been in 5 different districts. There's 22 of them. They all have, some of them are real high crime areas. Some of them are what we call real busy districts. And some of them have been real slow districts where there's not a lot of stuff going on. So one of the things is why I became a cop.
Stop. Leonard, you're moving over here.
And I got no problem yelling at people either. So one of the reasons I became a cop, when I was back a long time ago in the 90s, I was in the Marine Corps, and I was in California at the time, and my dad was a cop. And when I was getting ready to get out of Marines, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and he called me and he said, "Hey Larry, they got the test for the police department coming up if you want to take it." And I go, "Yeah, sure, whatever, I'll try," because I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I got out. So anyway, I flew in from California, I took the test. I got out of the Marine Corps. I was a mechanic for a little while, for about 2-3 years, and then the police department called me to start the process. So part of the process is you do all kinds of testing. There's physical testing, there's paperwork, like school stuff, and they just want to gauge you. Anyway, make a long story short, years later they called me on March 18th to start the academy. So that's when I started the academy. Our academy is it's 6 months long, about that. And it's just kind of like school. That's pretty much what it is. We go there, we had to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we went home at 3 o'clock. And throughout that day, they would have physical training exercise, which is pretty much like gym class. We'd have all kinds of training concerning all the laws, because we have to know a whole lot of laws and stuff like that. We had a lot of training in firearms, because obviously policemen carry firearms, and we have to know how to use them. We did driver's training. And we did a lot of scenario stuff. Hold on, wait till I'm done. Is there a problem? Oh, okay, you just got a question? Just wait till I'm all done, okay? We did a lot of scenario-based training, which is when the instructors who are police officers would act like we were going to a call, and we'd have to respond to them, and they were just playing action, which was really good training. Let's see. My typical day is I go to work, I show up like this, I go up to my locker, I change into my uniform because I wear a uniform every day. I put on all my equipment that I own. I go down, I talk to everybody that I work with because they're all my friends. I've worked with them for years. I go and talk to my boss, and what my boss does, we go over if there's anything important going on in our district. Sometimes there's good stuff, like the president comes and visits or something like that. Sometimes they have gang wars or something going on that we need to know about. So after that, we go up to what we call roll call, and this is basically roll call. Everybody sits not on the floor, but in chairs, and I have a sheet, and what I do is I call off everybody's name to make sure everybody shows up and everybody's on time. We kind of look over everybody's uniform to make sure they're in uniform, they have all their proper gear. And then again, whatever my boss relayed to me that's going to be important for the day, I relate to everybody that works for me. After that, we get out of roll call, we go get our car keys, we get all the equipment that the police department gives us, like a radio. Radio is probably the most important thing that we have. We have a body camera now, so we can film our interactions with people. We have a taser, which everybody probably knows what a taser is, and then they give us a couple other things. But anyway, and then we go out and we hit the street. We get in our car, and a lot of places are different. Up in Chicago where I work, I always laugh to people, and I go, basically, we drive around in circles just waiting for the radio call, or if we see something. So I go, we drive around aimlessly. And we drive around aimlessly for hours and hours and hours. And if they don't call us, we just keep on driving around. Because part of our job as police officers, and a lot of people don't realize this, is people seeing us. When bad guys see a police car, they're not going to, most likely they're not going to cause trouble. So if we just park somewhere on somebody's block, we're basically fighting crime just by visual. You see our police car, you see there's policemen in there, and like I said, for the most part, people don't cause trouble when they see a police car there. And then since I'm a supervisor, I go and I make sure that like all the cars that are working for me, I make sure they're handling their jobs. I make sure they're going to their jobs, they're handling them right, they're treating people right, and like I said, I'm kind of responsible for them. At the end of the day, we all come in, we turn in all of our gear, and then we go home, and that's it until the next day. One of the questions on that sheet was, is there any traveling on my job? There's no traveling on my job because I'm a Chicago police officer. Although we could travel around the city, there's a lot of different districts. There's, like I said, 22 different districts that are in Chicago. And there's also all these little, which is a good part about being a Chicago police officer, we have an opportunity to go work in all these little different divisions. Like we have a canine unit, we have patrol, we have a mounted unit, which is the horses, we have a marine unit, which is water, we even have a helicopter unit now, so they fly around in a helicopter all over the city. We have a detective division, which they do like the long-term investigations. We don't do that as patrol. We pretty much, everything we handle is right now, we take care of it. And then the detective division comes in and they do all the stuff like you see on TV where they do lineups and all that stuff. And then we have like SWAT, which is special operations, they do that. Let's see. And then we talked, she asked what are the pros and cons of my job. Like I said, for being a Chicago cop, there's a lot of opportunity to move around. Like I said, I've worked in all over the city, all different neighborhoods, and anytime I want to, I could go to a different neighborhood and work, so it could be totally different. My last district that I was in was way up on the north side, and it was one of the nicest districts in the city. It was really laid back, it wasn't busy at all, and people were really nice, and it was a good time. And then I'm now the district I'm in is fairly busy, but busy sometimes makes the day go faster, so it's always not a bad thing. It's different every day because you're dealing with people. So just like everybody in this classroom is different, everybody out there is different. So everything it may be similar, but it's very different. And you get a lot of opportunity to use your brain on your feet. We don't deal with numbers or math or English or all that stuff, but we deal with people. And we have to figure out like what's the best, how are we going to diffuse this situation right now? And so we have to be a quick thinker a lot, which is one of the points that I really, really like about the job. Some of the cons are bad hours. We work terrible hours. Now, since I've been doing it for so long, I work days, which is fine. But for years and years and years, I would start at 4 p.m. and work till midnight, or I would work from midnight to 8 in the morning, which is terrible. It's when everybody's sleeping, you're driving around at work, and it's just, I could never get used to it. So that's probably the worst thing about it. And that's all over. Policemen work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Christmas, New Year's, all those holidays. There's policemen working. And other places too, but there's policemen working too. So that's one of the things that I never really cared for. We work holidays and everything like that. So my favorite thing to do on this job is 100% undoubtedly is help people. I like to help people because not only do we respond to like bad and dangerous situations and crimes, a lot of people call the police when they need help or their family needs help or their neighbors need help. And all these years, that's my most satisfying part of my job is actually helping people out. And when we do that all day, we help a lot of people out. Let's see. Some of the classes that helped me, I think, in high school would be typing. We type a lot of reports and stuff like that. And like I remember, like I had a class in school about communication. And like I said, for a police officer, that's probably one of the biggest things that we do is you have to learn how to communicate with people, and you have to learn how to communicate in a good way. You have to learn how to talk to people, and even though you may be mad and they may be yelling at you and screaming at you or do whatever, you can't do it back. You just have to learn how to communicate. And most of the time, people are being mean to me while I'm at work. It's not really directed at me. It's because they're having probably one of the worst days of their lives, and I'm just happen to be there. So let's see. And then there was any funny stories. I have a lot of stories. Let's see. I'll tell you a couple of them really quick. So this is my favorite story, and I don't know anybody besides Miss Broughton who would know, but does anybody know who Mr. T was or is? I know you know, Claire, because I've told you this story before. You know who Mr. T is? Yeah. Anybody else? Remember he's got the mohawk and stuff like that? So one of my favorite stories that I tell everybody about this job is that I've been blessed by Mr. T. So what happened was one day I was working and I went to get a hot dog at this hot dog stand in Chicago because I had this taste for this hot dog. And I'm standing in line and there's this fella in front of me and I don't know what I was doing. I was playing on my phone or something and I'm standing right behind him and he orders this hot dog and he goes, hey boss, let me get a hot dog with no relish and extra onions on there. And I recognized his voice, so I go like this and I go, and he saw that somebody was looking at me and I go, hey, Mr. T, how's it going, So he's like, hey, how's it going, Sarge? And I shook his hand, and then we did some small talk for a little while. And then he got his hot dog, and before he leaves, he goes, hey, Sarge. I go, hey, have a good day, Mr. T. He goes, hey, I bless you. I bless you, Sarge. And so I ever tell everybody I've been blessed by Mr. T, which is probably one of the best things that happened. I get to meet a lot of neat people on my job. Another really quick story is I saw these people on YouTube like a year ago, and it was something about it was this couple, and they're from California, and they bought a Volkswagen van, and all they do is they travel around the country and they make videos of all their exciting sightseeing and everything. So one day I was at work, and like I said, this is on the south side of Chicago. I'm eating my lunch. I get done to eat my lunch, and I'm driving away, and I look in the Walmart lot, and I see this old van, and I go, wow, it's a cool van. So I went over there, and I'm driving around, and sure enough, this lady pops her head out the window, and I start talking to her, and then her boyfriend or husband, whoever it was, pops his head out the window, so we start talking, and I go, hey, do you guys have a YouTube channel? And they go, yeah, that's us, which is, like I said, I get to meet. If I hadn't been a policeman working that day, there's no way that I would have just went up to somebody on the street and started talking to them and say, hey, I like your van, So I go, we get a really neat chance to meet, a lot of people. We get to do a lot of sightseeing, like around the city, which is part of our job. We're paid observers. We have to go observe things. I get to go to parades. On Thanksgiving, I got to go to a parade, and I remember I was sending pictures to one of my friends who didn't know I was a cop, and he goes, well, how are you getting such good pictures of the parade? And I go, I'm a cop. I'm standing like I get in front of everybody, and then, all the kids and families are behind me, but I get to stand in front of everybody. So let's see. Where are we at now? Yeah, and I guess that's about it for all my notes. So anybody have any questions? And if I don't want to answer your question, I'm just going to say next. All right? Go ahead. We'll go around this way.
So when you were before you were a cop, were you kind of like a dispatcher?
No, right before I became a police officer, I was a mechanic. And there's no, I think your question is there like a stepping stone where you have to be a dispatcher and then go to a police officer? No, police officer is one of those jobs where they take anybody. One of my friends was a chef before he came on this job. I was a mechanic. One of my friends was a police dispatcher, but it's not like required to come on this job. It's just everybody. It's a very unique job. Okay? Go ahead.
How old do you have to be to start the academy? To take the test to see if you're getting to the academy.
Well, you know what? I really can't answer that question. I'll give you what I think. And I think you could take the test when you're 21. But we were just talking about this. I think they won't hire you now till you're 25. It used to be they would hire you at 21, but I think they changed that. They want you to be 25 now. So you could take the test earlier. You just have to wait. Like when I took the test in probably 93, and I didn't get hired until 96, so there was 3 years. It takes a long time. It's not like a lot of jobs where you go, you get an interview this day, and then tomorrow they say, okay, when you can start. It takes a long time. Does that answer your question? Okay.
So isn't the Marines water?
Isn't what?
Aren't the Marines water?
Air, land, and sea. We do them all.
Oh, because that's what my cousin's going into.
Oh yeah. Marines. We got the Marines got ship where we don't have ships, but we're kind of like a part of the Navy.
Did you ever
So,
go into the Marines? Did you ever like meet any of the Marines?
I was a Marine.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, at the beginning.
Yeah, I was a Marine. That's how I got into this job. Is when I was in the Marines, my dad called me and says, "You want to be if you want to be a police, they're giving a test." And really, that's another thing. The military and police are kind of similar. We wear uniforms, and you're kind of in a position of like authority and stuff. So the military is very similar. A lot of people I work with were in the military. A lot.
In the military, you actually go out and fight. In police, you don't fight a lot.
That's right. We're on like a different side of the spectrum, but there's still some similarities between. Yes.
Why did you decide to switch to?
Why? I was a mechanic, and it just wasn't. It's fine, it was all right. It was a good job, but I was inside all the time, and I'm just working on equipment. I was a heavy equipment mechanic, and then just being a police officer, I was like, oh wow, that sounds exciting. You get to go out and be in a car and do my own thing. There's a lot more freedom that we get, in my job. But I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's my answer. Yes. How long? A total of 22 years. This past March, I just passed my 22nd anniversary. So a long time. Yes. Let's see, I was a mechanic probably for 3 years, 2.5 years, something like that. Yes.
I was wondering, do you get more calls from like adults and stuff, or like more calls from like teenagers and kids?
Probably where I work is probably more adults, but we get a lot of calls because everybody has a cell phone now, so we do get calls occasionally from kids, but mostly it's more adults, I would say.
Do you get like, are there days where you like there is nothing wrong?
There's nothing going on. Those are what we call slow days. We do have slow days. There's in my district or any district really, there's always something going on, but some days are way slower than the other. For instance, one of our really, really slow days is when there's a snowstorm because nobody's out, everybody's in the house. So those are some days are really, really slow. Not all the time. Go ahead.
Have you ever seen like another police car, another police officer, and you see another guy from a different place chasing down this guy, and he's really adamant you can tell that he's chasing him because he's on the cars.
Right.
In this car. When any other police officers or police cars trying to go with that chase and maybe try to at least call back up for a block?
You're talking about when we're working, right? Yeah. We actually had a car chase that started in Maryville. This is only maybe a month and a half or 2 months ago. A car chase started in Maryville and it ended up in my district. And I don't get into car chases anymore because they're so dangerous. I don't like them. But I wait for usually when there's a car chase, the bad guys will drive around until they find a good spot to jump out of the car and run. And I'm a pretty good runner, so I'd rather chase them on foot than chase them in the car. But yeah, it was police from Indiana and all these suburbs.
So they took like an hour.
An hour's race when I was little once. And like me and my mom and my aunt and my aunt's son, we were like in a big chase. Like we seen a Ferrari going running past
Oh,
us,
okay.
and then we heard, and there was a helicopter really low to the ground.
Sure.
Really low, and then we seen like a bunch of these.
Oh, yeah.
Like 50.
Right, I hear you. Go ahead, Gage.
Do you ever get like prank calls from kids?
Not just kids, a lot of people, yeah. Because cell phones, like I said, everybody has a cell phone nowadays, and a lot of them are untraceable. So people call a lot, and they do prank calls, yeah, which is really, really bad because it wastes resources. You know, like when we could really be out there helping people.
You could get another call, and then
Right. And sometimes people do prank calls to get themselves out of trouble. Like they'll try to get, if the police are looking for somebody over here, they'll get on their cell phone and say, hey, there's something going on over here, so all the police go over there, and then they get away. So. Go ahead. Oh, you already asked one. We'll go to somebody different.
Did you ever do any fingerprint things?
Fingerprinting?
Yeah.
No, I don't have to do that. In Chicago, once we arrest people, we bring them into the station, we do all this paperwork, and then we take them back to what we call lockup. It's just like a jail, and there's people who work back there, and they handle everything from there. So I've never fingerprinted a person in my life. So. You already asked one. Go ahead.
Do you try shooting their tires whenever they're going really fast?
No.
No.
Who else?
GTA, Jesse's actually really hard to shoot.
Anybody else? All right, we'll go back to you. All right, here. Go ahead.
Have you ever shot someone?
Next question.
Have you ever had to like do a case, like a house, and you have to find evidence and find fingerprints on weapons?
So like I said, in Chicago, it's a lot different than other places. In Chicago, we don't. We write a report, and then we call somebody else. What they call evidence technicians. And they come out and they dust everything for prints and take pictures of everything.
But has there ever been a case like that where you find murder weapons?
Oh yeah, they find when they come out there, they do their whole job and they find fingerprints, and it's really incredible. And now the big thing is DNA. They find DNA on cigarette butts or whatever. Yeah. Go ahead, man.
So when we were coming back from Tennessee, we were in Chicago. Like we were just driving past and get back to the Four Seasons for Chicago. You know, we still had an hour left. And, like we stopped at our cousin's house, and while we were crossing the street, it was like 9, and someone was flying past us, and then there were like 10 police cars that went after him, and it almost hit my cousins who were walking across.
Oh,
the
you
street.
see, that's why the cars are dangerous. You got to be very, very careful. They're scary.
I went to Tennessee on spring break.
Sure.
I just want to know, did you have a police chase on spring break?
No, not me. I was off on spring break. We were in Washington, D.C. So. Go ahead. You didn't ask yet, right?
Once when we were driving our car, we almost got in a car accident because there's this big red truck that's just zooming past the red light.
Yeah. Now you got to be careful. Go ahead, ma'am.
Did you get zapped to hands of police?
Did you get what?
Did you get zapped to be a police officer?
Oh, by the taser?
Yeah.
No, when I came on, they didn't even have tasers. So.
Have you ever had a police dog?
Oh, a police dog? No, I haven't. Some of my friends have, and they're really neat. I like to watch them because occasionally when we get something going on, like if somebody breaks into a building, we get to call the police dogs out and watch them search, and they're really cool. I showed Claire. Taken pictures. One time we had them. They went. There was a bomb threat at a Walgreens, and so we were walking through there with the police dog, and the police dog wouldn't get away from the dog treat aisle. he just kept on sniffing the dog treats, and the they call them dog handlers, they're police officers, and he kept on telling them, I forget, his name was Rocket or something like that. He's like, come on, and they're searching, and the dog would go run back to the tree aisle and stuff, so we were all having a good laugh at that.
There's a bomb threat in Walgreens?
Yeah, it was just, again, it was a prank call. It was somebody messing around for whatever reason, and that was it.
No, that wastes a lot of time.
Yes, it does.
Because you have to bring the dogs in and search
Sure.
through the whole building.
Well, go ahead, you got another question?
Even if you're not like on duty, like if you don't have a face vest or like you don't even have your face card, like and you just drive somewhere and you see like a chase that are you able to go to like chase after them?
In a car?
Yeah, like if you see someone like on the side of the road or something and you're not doing the right thing, are you able to like?
That's a gray area. What they call is we're supposed to be policed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I don't want to. I'm not going to do something and endanger myself or anybody else. So the smartest thing for us to do is to call. I got a cell phone too. Everybody's got a cell phone, and I call 911 and say, hey, there's this bad guy and he's doing this, and then let the police who are on duty handle it. It's not good to be doing stuff when you're not working. Go ahead.
If you have to be now, would you have to get things?
I think that not everybody, but once in a while, like they do it just to show you the effects of it. So it's not everybody that has to do it, but they show you how it works when they're training people. Yeah. I never got tased. When I came on, the big thing was the pepper spray. So we got pepper sprayed.
I'd rather get tased. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed by the pepper spray. So go ahead.
I've seen that sometimes when an officer is off duty and there's like no other officers around, sometimes they have like lights. If they're driving like their own car, they have lights that they can put on top.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but those, like I said, if one of the biggest things about being a police officer is having your car and your radio, and I have when I'm working, I have unlimited backup. There's unlimited people that I could call. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of police officers working in the city of Chicago. So if I need help, if I can't handle something, I could keep on calling in more cops, more cops, more cops. When you're not working, when I'm off duty, it doesn't work like that. Just putting a light on top of your car or saying I'm the police, it doesn't work like that. It's better to do everything while you're working. Go ahead, man.
One time I was going to my grandma's, and then so I got there, and then me, my mom, and my sister, we see like a ton of police cars at her neighbor's house, and we're like, what the heck is going on? And so we get inside my grandma's house, and we're like, what's going on? She's like, oh, one of the neighbors pepper sprayed someone. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That was weird.
So, I don't think you asked a question. Go ahead. Yeah.
I asked a question.
Oh, okay. Well, you anyway.
It's a story.
Okay.
So my grandma, she lives in like one of those houses where they split it, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, and then
Duplex or whatever.
her neighbors, they left their garage open one day, and she was outside mowing the lawn, and I was riding my scooter around the block, and then I happened to just look in their garage, and I told my grandma they have like a bunch of. I asked her why they have like a bunch of critters and
Yeah.
and she said they might be like illegally making money.
Sure. Oh yeah, like counterfeiting they call it. Sure.
Yep.
And to answer your question, in the green shirt, I've never shot anybody, and I have probably 3 more years maybe, and I hope I never do. You know, there's been a lot of bad situations, but it's not something that, and I don't think any police officer takes it lightly. I think that's probably out of my job. That's probably the most life-changing thing that you're ever going to do because it's going to affect you for the rest of your life. So, let's see. Who didn't ask the question? Everybody's the same people? Go ahead, man.
No, she hasn't.
No, she is.
Oh.
You haven't asked the question, right? Oh, okay. Were you just stretching? Oh, okay. Can I take a few more questions? Or?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes.
We got a couple minutes. Go ahead.
You drive your police car?
No, I leave it at the station. Our cars we don't get to take home, but I get the same car every day. And like I tell Clara, sometimes I get mad because when I get in my car, the people on Midnight's had it, and there's food and garbage all over the car. But yeah, we don't get to take home our cars. I show up in my personal car, I drive their car, and then I drop it off. Take my own car. Go ahead. Uh-oh. Well, you can think about it. Go ahead.
John, have you ever arrested any of somebody that you know or maybe one of your worst enemies?
I never arrested somebody I know. One of my friends one time got arrested, and he ended up at the station that I was at before. But no, we tried. A policeman tried in Chicago. We tried to work in a different area from we live, so we don't have to run into that situation. Because when you come home, if you had to arrest your neighbor, it's going to be really awkward. So.
Have you ever lost anybody that you know to be a police officer?
A couple, yeah. Next. Go ahead.
Do you have a motorcycle or do you have a car?
A car. I got like I drive like a Ford Explorer or something. It is. It's a nice car. It's nicer than my. I like driving that car better. It's nicer than my personal car. Go ahead.
Once my brother, we were spending the night at someone we know that owns a pizza place that our mom knows really well. And my brother, someone broke into her last house, and so she got a new apartment. And my brother has been like, as soon as we got there, he kept being like afraid if someone would break into her house. And then she just took us outside, and there were police cars like everywhere parked outside houses and houses and houses because she was showing us that they live in those apartments.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sure. Sure. Well, that's good, right?
There would be a way that
I
someone would get
yeah,
in.
no one
Like,
would
oh,
want
yeah.
I think you're going to be our last one.
Go ahead.
Can you tell another funny story of, like, a quick small story of the police dogs?
Well, the only one, because I never really worked with the police dogs. I never had my own police dog. It was just like the Walgreens story. But yeah, we use them like all the time. They come and they always like the police dogs. They love to work. They love to be called. The policemen who have the dogs, they always tell us, anytime you need something, call us, because they love to go through buildings. They love looking for people. The police dogs and